Shalom again, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com. Bringing to you today lesson number 3 in our series of the Biblical Kabbalah, teachings of the book of Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, the wisdom of King Solomon. You know, I began this series trying to help you understand that some of the most profound and deepest secrets of the Torah, the universe, if you will, are concealed within the most simple and profound lessons of everyday understanding. Let me put this in the words of the Sefirot. We all might be familiar with the diagram of the 10 Sefirot. You know, you have Keter up on top, Chochmah, Bina, Hesed, Gabor, Teferet, Netzachot, Yesod, and bottom, Malchut. So at the bottom, you have Malchut. At the top, you have Keter. And like the Sulam Aliyah, the ladder of ascent, everybody thinks, I got to go from the bottom to the top. I don't want to stay on the bottom. Who cares about the bottom? I want to be on the top. Yeah, but you don't understand, because you're still thinking that this is in a straight line. The Sefirot are in a cycle like this. They're in a circle. And the circle, everything is always going around. You might remember the words of an old song from the 60s with Sonny and Cher. I'm dating myself here. And the beat goes on, da 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 da, and the beat goes on. That's life. The beat goes on. No matter what you and I accomplish, no matter how much of a change that we will make on this earth, no matter how high, no matter how low, in time, the beat goes on. Now, take a look at our world today. See how mighty and strong we are, whether it's Western civilization or the Oriental civilization, European civilization, whatever civilizations you look at. Mighty strong grip, controlling the world. Yawn. Been there, done that. How many of you remember what it was like living under the Assyrian or Babylonian or Persian world empires? Dramatic pause. I don't remember any. You don't even know these things were. What do you know about history, right? But these civilizations controlled the world just like ours does today. And they're long gone in history, blown away with the sands of time. So you can look out at the mighty terrors that we have created today, and tomorrow they're going to be gone. And the day after that, they're going to be forgotten. So, let me read to you the wise words of King Solomon here from chapter 1, verse 3. He says, Ma yitaron la'adam b'kol amalav she'amal tahat hashemesh. What profit has a man in all his toil that he toils under the sun? What's that term? Tahat hashemesh. Now, you will, maybe you very well be familiar with one of the wise old words of Solomon from this book, which we'll discuss in a later lesson. It says there's nothing new under the sun. You've heard that. What is this under the sun stuff? What? If there's nothing new under the sun, what? Is there something like new over the sun? Somewhere over the sun? Really? What is the purpose of this language? Remember I said, everything in the Bible is a code. Everything is a meaning. Now remember, as I've discussed in many other classes, we're dealing here with Hebraic thinking, not Greek thinking. So don't get philosophical and analytical here. You have to remember, wise old King Solomon had a level and a depth of understanding things which was not rational, intellectual, and philosophical, but was at a very, very much deeper psychic level. So he asks the question in futility. What amal, right? What benefit do you have? Yitaron means, if you will, extra, with all the work and all the effort that you put into things. Now, what has value? What is real? What is that which is the best for you to invest in? Stocks and bonds? Business? Precious metals? Where is the best way to invest? Notice again, a little dramatic pause here, because you're going to think that I'm going to say invest your money. What the heck is your money really worth? Okay? Do you know people have had terrible tragedies in their lives? They have lost everything. People who have had the greatest wealth, they lose everything. It could be as something as terrible, but as simple and quick as a fire. It wipes out everything. Which would you rather lose? All of your wealth, or God forbid, all your loved ones? I would hope and pray that you would say, I'd rather lose the money than the people I love. I would hope and pray that's what you say. Because you got to remember this. This is what Solomon is talking about when he says, Hebel Habalim, everything's vanity. Why? In this world of Malchut, the world called Asiyah, okay? Everything here, as we learned from the Sefer Yetzirah, we did that whole big long course on that recently, is made up of what we call the 22 letters. Everything is in this form, switching to that form, switching to the third form, and the form. Everything is always in a constant state of tzirufim, permutations. Nothing in this dimensional plane is meant to stay in a singular, constant form. Why? Because the nature of this physical universe is, it's a multiplication. It's a mathematical thing, in which every possible permutation that can be made must be made. You can say, why did God make it like that? You can ask me why God does what God does. Go ask God. Right? You're not going to get an answer any more than anybody else has. But that is the reality. There are always highs. There are always lows. There's always shifts to the right, shifts to the left. There's time, like it says in this book, time for war, time for peace, time for everything. If we are in this world of Malchut, and the nature of this world is always shifting, look around us. Everything in life is always in a constant state of movement and shifting. When we learn martial arts, especially like soft styles in the Chinese tradition, like Tai Chi and all that, they teach you to get in touch with the energy of the universe and how to allow it to flow through you and allow it to guide your actions, especially when you're in a combat form. For example, all right, for those of you who know fighting, you'll know what I mean. If you have ever learned a rigid structure of a martial art form, you've learned either katas or forms, and you move the hands like this, and you block like this, and you turn like this, and you swing like that, and you poke like whatever. Well, for those who are trained in these systems, the minute you see the other guy doing step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, you know exactly what he's telegraphing to you everything that he's going to do. And that is how you're able to defeat the opponent, because you know what's coming, because you know what they know, and you know what they've been taught to do. That is why real fighters learn the style which has no style, the form which has no form. What in the Chinese they would call the Wu Wei, without form. Bruce Lee, remember Bruce Lee, Mr. Chop Chop himself? He's the one who had that mentality in what he called his system, Jeet Kune Do. He says, don't telegraph, just do what needs to be done. Go with the flow. So, think about that in relationship to us today, in which we pound our fists and say, this is the way it's gonna be. I'm gonna make it this way no matter what. Some will succeed and others won't. There is one thing which I strongly condemn that is well known in both Jewish and Christian circles. And this is something which the Christians will refer to as, we have our own name for it, called the prosperity gospel. And this is the idea and concept that God wants you to be wealthy. God wants you to be successful. And therefore, if you block out all doubt and you push, you will be wealthy and powerful, because that's what God wants you to be. I really consider that to be a really demonic lie. I think that's really terrible and disgusting. And people will promote themselves and make millions and millions of dollars trying, succeeding to sell you this bit of goods. They sell you books and courses and tell you all this stuff. And some people it's going to work and some people it's not. Well, it's a matter of personality. Well, yes, it is. And no, it's not. We also know of something which we call mazal, which you can say, what's the astrological? Well, yes and no. Astrological influences are just that, an influence. They are not a determinant. That's a very important biblical teaching. This Malchut world is always in that shifting changes from one form to another, but it's following a greater, higher pattern. The greater, higher pattern that we know from the highest realm called the Keter, the crown, which we call the divine will. So we go through the process of ascent through the Sephirot in personal development. And as we do, we come to higher realizations. But in those higher realizations, we don't look at this world and say, ugh, be gone. We recognize that the higher realizations at the top, like I said, are a cycle. They come back down to the Malchut, and they transform the way we live here on earth. What real benefit do you think you will accomplish with all the efforts you make in trying to maintain a stability of permanence with anything physical here? Solomon had it all. Wealthiest man from what we believe in all recorded history. How many of you remember all those super wealthy people in ancient times? Who was the richest man in the Roman period? The Greco period, Persian period. How about in any other time in any other place on earth? Who are the richest men? Well, I know one. Well, tell me 2 and 3. Okay? Tell me what they had, how much they were worth. I don't know any of that. History hasn't even recorded it because it was not of significance. But look at that which is of significance. Look at that which has survived. Here we are today, what we believe to be 3,500 years after the fact, reading, studying Torah, learning the wise words of King Solomon. Here we are today looking at that which is immortal, that which is eternal. No, it's not the wealth that you seek. Because the greatest and mighty, wealthiest people of the world who have ever lived, they're buried in the same dirt as the most poor, unsuccessful people, and they both inherited the same grave. But what have they left behind? Those with money and power left behind? Nothing. All their money and all their power shifted, Sephiroth permutations, into the hands of other people. What did they bring with them? Nothing. Whereas other people with wisdom, what do they have? They have left behind an inheritance of wisdom. For those of us who have loved ones, we leave behind an inheritance of love. How many of us have lost loved ones, and they will live on in our hearts and in our lives forever? Now, I'm not just talking about human beings. Maybe you saw a little side there of the video, my little Sierra, my canine daughter. Many of you might remember my canine son, Tex. I talk about him all the time. His picture's on the front page of our KosherTorah website. He's a dog. But he was in my heart. And a dog who may or may not have had a human soul, depending on whether or not you do or do not believe in reincarnation and stuff like that. But that's what lives on. A dog? Love. Inspiration. Feeling. These are the important things. These are the Hebraic things. So when Solomon looks out at this world and says, oh my gosh, I've conquered the world. I have all the money. I have all the power. All right, I got 1,000 wives. What's going to last? What's going to inherit? His own son, Rehoboam, takes over the kingdom and within days messes the whole thing up, causes a schism that was never healed, the break between the north and south kingdom. So King Solomon, turning over in his grave, says, oh my God, what did my son do? And what inheritance? What does Solomon leave for our world? The power of a united power of or country of Israel, gone in days. The wealth, stripped and stolen. The wisdom, like the light, survives. You look outside, the sun is there. If tomorrow or today we were to have a nuclear war and blow up and destroy the planet, the sun would still shine. The world, the planet would heal. Only we would not survive, but everything else would. We have seen the rise and fall of mighty empires, even our own personal ones. So what wise King Solomon's focus is, what is really important in life? Your life, my life. Yeah, we break our backs every day because we want to have money, power, because we associate it with prestige. Those who have money, we elevate in our societies as being the elite. And look who we have turned into the elite: the ignorant, the immoral, the stupid, and the fool. All because they make decisions to act in ways which we would normally find deplorable. No, that doesn't mean, are you saying, Rabbi, that everybody wealthy is bad? No, I'm not saying that at all. You got a lot of good people out there who have money. But look at the famous ones. Look at the powerful ones. Look at our, entertainment stars, our sports star. Why do we even call them a star? You know what a star is? It's like one of those points of light in heaven, right? That's what we look up to. And some person, just because he can play basketball, that makes him a star. We give him tens of millions of dollars, where all they do is pontificate garbage because he knows how to throw a ball into a hoop. I'm sorry. That's not an attribute which I consider admirable. How about all those people in the entertainment industry? Oh yeah, they're physically beautiful. Mazel tov, as we say. Good for them. But look at their morals. Look at their values. Certainly their external beauty does not match to their internal ugliness. And we see that every day. So, what are you investing in? I want money and power. In this material world in which it's guaranteed to collapse and be lost. Well, I got to be secure. I got to pay my bills. Of course we do. It's normal. Yeah, we all need to make a living. We all need to pay our bills and everything else. But that's different from making money your God, your highest value. I've known of people who said to me, Rabbi, I want to be both a billionaire and a holy Kabbalist. I said, okay, very nice. If you had to choose between the two, which would you choose? I get that answer. Yeah. Sometimes you can have it all. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's always a combination. And if you focus on the beat going on and trusting in the higher divine will, then you will find yourself in the right place, in the right time, and in the right way. Just like in that martial arts move, you're going to be in the right flow of things. But if you rigidly stick by this rule, you're going to find yourself very quickly out of sync. You're going to find yourself very quickly acting unnaturally. And when you do, your opponents will recognize right away your telegraph movements, and they will defeat you. Not just in a fight on the mats, or in sports, or in war, but in life. Because the forces of nature flow. You try to be rigid, nature itself will break you. So don't fight nature. Don't fight God. The divine will not be thwarted by your will. We do not say, let my will be done, O Lord, and let thy will be my will. All right? No, we say, let my will be your will. We don't work it the other way around. God is not going to submit to you. You're the one who has to submit to God. And don't think of God like a little man with a white beard. And this is not a power struggle. It's the universe. It's the way of reality. So go with the flow. Embrace what's of true value in this world. And everything else peripherally, yeah, we do got to pursue it. We do got to be part of it. That's part of life. But never let it control you. You let God control both you and it. And that is how you'll find your peace. On that note, let's conclude. Think about these things. This is the real biblical Kabbalah. Talk to you soon. Shalom.